Hello, I'm Charlie Brooker and you're watching a Screenwipe special. I'm calling it a special because that sounds mildly more impressive than clip show, even though that's basically what this is. Anyway, throughout the series we've done lots of little reports looking at the ghastly backside of television, and this programme is essentially just a compilation of several of those. Anyway, don't let me undersell it. Let's get stuck in straight away with one of the first reports we ever did, looking at the outrageous amount TV costs to make. Television costs money. So much money it would make your head spin around. Even a programme like this, which is low budget in telly terms, costs around £47,667 per episode. £47,667 per episode. Well, it does. And stop interrupting me. Sorry. Still, 47 grand, eh? Just imagine what you could do with that.
It's not enough to do something sensible with, but it's enough to do something silly with.
Or a car.
Clothes. Definitely give some money to charity.
Pay off my debts. Clothes.
Book a nice holiday. Go this country.
We should probably have just let them have it, to be honest. Anyway, outside the world of telly, that figure might seem astronomically high. So how does it break down? Well, even this sequence, in which all that's happening is I'm talking to you, this costs more than you might think. For starters, there's the camera guy. He's hired, together with all his equipment, from a facilities house. Furthermore, he's shooting on Digibeta, because it looks nicer than this. This is DV, which is cheaper and simpler to operate, but looks a bit bleary and grim by comparison. Oh, that's better. Anyway, the camera guy, the camera itself, and the sound man, cost around £850 a day. Here you go, you fleecing. Yeah, hope it chokes you. Then there's the rest of the production team to consider. We've got a series producer who keeps things all together, an assistant producer who assists him, 2 archive researchers who dig up old clips, another researcher who researches whatever it is that he does, a runner who has to fetch me a coffee every time I clap my hands. Run! A production manager who balances the books, a production coordinator who coordinates shit, and this man who we pay to stand in a corner of the office feeding banknotes into a shredder. Not now! And then finally there's me, the talent. Amazingly, this lot costs around £1,900 a day. Here you go, you useless sponging Then there's the cost of post-production, i.e. an edit suite where we chop everything visual together and add filters like this, or this. Make the picture do things like this, or add graphics like this. Because that's the sort of thing you modern telly-watching whippersnappers demand nowadays. There's also an audio dub so we can add voiceovers and mix it all together properly so it doesn't sound rubbish like this. Next there's clearance. Let's say I want to show you a clip from an old episode of Clopper Castle.
I say. What goes up when the rain comes down?
I don't know. What does go up when the rain comes down?
An umbrella.
Well, that's copyrighted material which has to be paid for. Unless actually you're showing it for the purposes of criticism and review, in which case you can often use it for nothing. Unfortunately, I'm not criticising or reviewing that at all, which means that old puppet nonsense has just cost the production £500. And it's not just moving images we have to pay for. Simply by holding up this copyrighted photo of former Environment Secretary John Selwyn Gummer, I've cost the production another 50 quid. I don't even want to. Every time you see a photo like this in the background of a TV show, chances are someone has had to pay to clear it. And these are just the things you can see. Now, music. Actually, we save quite a lot of money here being on the BBC. Thanks to their blanket agreement with the music industry, there's a lot of tunes that don't cost us anything. If I was on another channel, it might cost me a fortune to play, say, a bit of Sgt. Pepper. But this is the Beeb, so take it away, the Beatles. Weirdly, however, I can't show you the cover of Sgt. Pepper because they won't let us. I can, however, just throw it away, thereby blowing another £15 on a prop. And if I'm pissing the money away, I might as well push the boat out even further with another great picture of John Selwyn Gummer. Ooh, we're partying now! There are loads of other costs which are on your screen now if you're that bothered. Anyway, given how much our modest half hour sets the world back, imagine how much it costs to make something like this. Oh, those are horses. Those are notoriously expensive. They insist on being driven to the set every day in individual cars. Madness. That's a courtroom. They had to build that 10,000 times actual size, apparently. And that judge's wig, that's not a wig, that's a rare orchid. Yes, telly is a terrifyingly expensive business, so it's not surprising some shows try to claw back some of that cash any which way they can. If you'd like to hear some of the shocking ways TV tries to claw your money back, then phone the number on screen now. In the meantime, the rest of us will have a look at this next thing, which is about how to get your ideas on the box. Lots of people wonder how to get their ideas on the telly, so here's an upbeat little guide to why if you're lucky that'll never happen, and if it does, it'll be a nightmare. First of all, let's assume this man represents your idea. Now, if it's possible to showcase your idea live or on the internet, then for God's sake do that before you even think about letting anyone in telly get their hands on it. If it succeeds, they'll beat a path to your door. But say it's not practical or possible to do that, well, what else can you do? Your best bet is to get a job in TV and after several months slaving in lowly positions, try to bag a job in development. Of course, the company you're working for has to make money to survive, so rather than creating anything worthwhile, you'll be working up an endless stream of shit ideas they hope will be an easy sell. Eventually, you throw caution to the wind and introduce your idea to your fellow creatives, and against the odds, they love it! Having boiled your idea down to a capsule description a child could understand, you approach your first port of call. You outline your idea to a commissioning editor, and stone the crows he likes it. Well, sort of, because he also suggests a few changes. But they seem reasonable enough, so you incorporate them as best you can, then sit back and wait for a response. And you wait and you wait and you wait, and eventually you're told the commissioning editor has left, and his replacement reckons this whole cowboy hat thing renders the entire idea useless. Still under pressure to sell, you take your idea to a funky rival channel notorious for dangerous cutting-edge content. Here, another commissioner suggests it be fronted by up-and-coming comic Barry Shitpeas.
What about Barry?
Because he's being groomed as a future face of the channel. A few evenings later, you and Barry hook up for an evening to discuss the idea. He's got plenty of suggestions, every single one of which makes you want to vomit so hard your guts fly out your mouth and hit him in the eye, but instead you nod like a bitch. You work his changes into your original pitch, like the snivelling whore you are, and represent it to Captain Burstrings. Brilliant, he says, and informs you there's a commissioning round coming up and your idea's definitely on the shortlist. Once again, you wait and wait and wait and wait and wait until an email arrives telling you they decided to go with something completely different. By now, months have passed and your original idea's looking a bit stale, so in a pathetic bid to spruce it up, you work in some stupid fad you read about in a magazine that afternoon and take it to yet another channel, this time a major commercial hitter. They won't even consider it without a major name attached, so it's out with Barry Shitpeas and in with Ant and Dec. They also want to make your idea accessible to their imaginary audience of idiots, but by now you've lost so much dignity you're in a trance, so you just concur and nod and do as they say. That evening you have a nightmare in which you crouch in an alley giving blowjobs for pennies while the theme from This Is Your Life plays in the background. What could it possibly mean? It's still troubling you the next day as you sit in reception alongside someone with a similar idea which looks slightly better than yours. Finally, you're told, sorry, they've spent their budget for this round, there's no more slots, and they're trying to go up market, and your idea's just a bit too dumb. By now, your job's on the line, the execs are screaming at you, and you don't give a f*** anymore about anyone or anything. So you call on some obscure satellite channel you've never even heard of and try and flog it to them. Here you're asked to literally rub shit all over your idea and turn it into a vehicle for some reality TV star. But it's not even an idea you recognise anymore, and that's not the only problem. No, because you've also got to cut all the best bits out of your idea because they want 150 episodes and they've only given you a budget of 27 pence. Worse still, you can't hire enough staff, so everyone involved in making it has to work insane hours that make them cry around the clock and despise you. Congratulations, you've become an exploitative telly scumbag. Eventually, your bastardised, rehashed idea finally makes it on air, at which point everyone who tunes in thinks it's shit!
Oh, don't believe it. Get off that fucking telly! Don't fucking waste my money!
Inevitably, the ratings crash through the floor, and then to cap it all, some smug dough-faced Lawrence Fishburne lookalike on BBC 4 rips it apart using selective footage and witlessly puerile so-called criticism. At the end of the day, this programme's a load of shit thought up by and there lies your idea, dead as a dodo's doornail, messed around, shat on and despised. Was it ever any good to start with? It doesn't matter, because you will never, ever know. And that's exactly how TV works. People think television's a glamorous industry to work in, but is it really? Is it really? Is it really? Really, is it? Is it really?
When I was a runner, I got called into my exec's office. He asked me to come to his desk, turn around and face the window, which I did so for half an hour. As I was leaving, I realised the fucker had used me as a sunblock to block out the sun from hitting his computer screen. I mean, what a prick.
It's funny because it's true. Anyway, earlier we saw just how hard it can be to get your ideas on TV. Now, assuming you managed to clear all those hurdles, your problems aren't over. No, they are just beginning. Making a television programme, absolutely any television programme, is easy. As easy as falling off a log. Actually, it's not. Even shooting that little bit, in which all I had to do was fall off a log, was a far bigger ache up the backpipe than you might imagine. First of all, we had to pick a location for the log scene. We could have shot it in the street, but that's a pain for various reasons. You have to inform the police you're doing it. There's lots of random street noise, which tends to things up. And worst of all, which is often fatal. Hans! Oh, and members of the public tend to call you a ponce. Speaking of members of the public, it's a good job we didn't decide to illustrate this piece with pointless vox pop interviews like this. What's it like being a member of the public? What? Because we have to get them to fill out a release form giving us permission to broadcast the footage. We also have to position the camera so we don't give undue prominence to shop fronts, and make sure he removes that stupid baseball cap with a bloody great logo on the front of it. Actually, using members of the public is such a pain, we decided to cheat and use one of our researchers instead. Look, there he is in the pilot we made earlier this year. Loads of productions do this. We're only telling you about it because we're so bloody postmodern. We're about to cut to a shot of me typing these words into the script itself. Anyway, back to the log, and to avoid all that nonsense, we decided to shoot this bit in a park. Battersea Park, to be precise, which meant getting permission from Wandsworth Council and buying a log, obviously. But before I can get on and fall off it, we had to do a health and safety check. Yes, even falling off a log can be dangerous, so before we turned up in the park, our production manager had to fill out a form detailing all the potential risks involved. Health and Safety insisted on this crash mat, which means before we can shoot anything, the director and the cameraman have to hold an interminable bloody discussion about how to frame the shot so that it isn't visible. For sake, will the Right, we've been here for over 3 hours now. We've decided we're going to paint out the crash mat using a computer in the edit. Anyway, assuming the light and the weather holds, which they very rarely do, I'm finally ready to fall off the log. At which point the battery runs out, because equipment hate human. Equipment want revenge. Meanwhile, I've been standing here so long, my revolting skin is starting to shimmer with sweat, so the makeup artist has to come in and touch me up while I make small talk with her. How are you, yeah? Do a lot of makeup, do you? How's the makeup business? How is it, yeah? Finally, after several passes, we think we've got it in the can, which is just as well because the light's fading, but the real fun's only just beginning. Yes, because here in the edit suite, joy upon joys, when we find the bit we need, the boom's in shot, so it's useless. Actually, to be honest with you, the boom wasn't in shot. We were supposed to film a bit where the boom was in shot, but we genuinely forgot. So we had to go through the rigmarole of filming a boom against a background and comping it into a shot for this shot. What a pain in the arse. Anyway, given the number of obstacles involved, little wonder that TV can take an age to make. Exactly how long that age is depends very much on the type of TV you're making.